Hi, this is Kim with Intentional Private Practice, and I want to take some time today just to talk about something that we often don't think about, I think, in our field, but it's creating routines for the kinds of work that we do on a regular basis, as well as maybe more importantly for the things that we don't do on a regular basis, but that when we do need to do them, we need to know all the parts to make sure that we're not missing any. So there's two things I want to point out. One, we need to create routines. Two, we need to record them. I'll talk a little bit about each of those pieces and some ideas, types of things to think about as far as routines, as well as some ideas about how to record them so that you can access them quickly when you need them. So in terms of creating routines, this is a great way to think about either the things that you do frequently or the things you want to start doing more frequently. When we do get into doing something in a routine, we can start to establish a habit. And by thinking through each step and actually creating a checklist, we make sure that we don't miss any pieces. We also can save a lot of time if we're creating a routine. Sorry, there's dogs playing in the background. If we're creating a routine because we're not going to be running off looking for pieces. We're going to know what they all are. We're not going to be worrying that we forgot something or realizing later, hey, I forgot to do this. Now I need to get that back on my to-do list. So some of the kinds of things that I think of in terms of having routines, the first one that comes up for me is like marketing and networking. So networking can sometimes be more organic. I think about it as more marketing when I'm trying to establish a new connection with somebody. So my routine might look like find types of professionals I want to connect with, gather names, gather contact information, phone number, email, whatever that might be. Send out an initial contact by email or by phone. And I might have a script for that, either for email or for phone, that I can tweak to match the situation. Follow up, schedule an in-person, coffee date or a virtual coffee date. Send cards and thank you note. And that's the basic beginning of the routine. After that, hopefully you kind of establish some kind of connection with the person and you're not working off of a routine anymore, but you're working off of organic connections that come up. Another type of routine that I think about is and I don't even know if this is a word, but I think on and offboarding. So whether you have employees working for you and you have to do onboarding tasks, or think about the things that you kind of have to undo when they're no longer working for you. And unless you have a really large practice and you spend a lot of your time in administrative tasks, it's probably not something you do very frequently. Hopefully you hire somebody and they stay with you for quite a while before they leave. So you might just be on and offboarding, maybe once a year, maybe even less than that. So those are the kinds of things where you're not necessarily going to remember, hey, I got to put them on my malpractice policy. I need to make sure I have a copy of their license. I need to run a background check. I need to add them into my payroll program. I need to get a copy of their canceled checks so that they can go into my payment processing. And then when you offboard, I need to take them off my malpractice policy. I need to make sure I have the key and the key card or whatever other building kinds of things that you have. I need to make sure their final paycheck is processed. I need to take them out of my EHR so I'm no longer paying for that person. I need to change passwords if I've got confidential information and I don't want people that aren't in my agency to still be able to access that. So again, there's a lot of things. And as you go through something like that the first time, you'll start to establish, like, what do I need for this? And the important thing is that you do establish a routine and a checklist and you record it in a way that you're going to be able to access it. And I'll talk a little bit more about recording in a minute. Another thing that I thought of as far as routines is on and offboarding of clients. So this is probably one that you do more frequently and it might be pretty automated through your EHR. But when you have a new prospective client reach out to you, what's the first thing that you do? Probably return a phone call or return an email. It might be set up a time for a phone consultation. It might be getting them scheduled for an initial appointment, sending them out all the paperwork, connecting with their referral source, connecting with their GP if you have a release. Which, again, these are great opportunities to organically network and market your practice as well by saying, hey, I'm working with so-and-so. This is the kind of work that I do. If I haven't worked with you before, I'm happy to chat more about my work and I'm always open for referrals. So you have some really natural opportunities as long as you're using them, and you're more likely to use them if you have a good routine established so that you can, have those happen naturally when the time happens. Another one I thought of is website updates. So if that's not something that's really in your wheelhouse, web stuff, if you kind of bumble through it but get it done, and you probably don't have to, once it's up and running, you probably don't update it very often. So making sure that you know, like, how do I access my, the back end of my website to make changes? What's my password? What's my username? If I have to get on my control panel, what's the password and username? Mine's different, just a whole different place. I don't even half the time can't remember how to find it. I've got to go and look at my little checklist to figure out, how do I access the control panel? How do I add an email to my website? If I, again, like with an employee, if I'm adding a new employee, I need to know how to put them into my email system. Other things with websites would be like a basic, how do I edit? How do I add a blog post if that's not something that you're doing routinely? So there's a lot of things there that you could also get into a checklist so that you could reference it in the future. And the reason that we're talking about doing this, again, is to save time. You don't have to search around to try and find all this information, and to frankly save the stress of it, make sure that you're not missing any parts as you go through this. So once you have some routines created for routine, or frankly for not routine events that only happen once in a while, you want to record them. And you could do this a variety of different ways. You could just have a great big old binder that's kind of like your business binder, and print out PDFs, or create your own PDFs and print them out, stick them in sleeves or 3-hole punch them, put them in the binder so you can access them. The downside to that is, you need to be wherever they are, or you need to have backups on your computer. Having them on your computer and not printing them out is great. You have to know how to find them. And I will be the first to admit that I've made some of these and then I can't find them. I can't remember what I called them. And I might even have one copy printed out, but then I can't find the original copy because it's somewhere in my computer. So if you do just save them in your computer's documents, make sure that you know what you called them and where to find them so you can access them quickly. My preference is to create something in an organizing program like Trello so that you can access it quickly and easily, from your computer. You just need to know that it's in your Trello account. You don't need to know what the file name is. You can access it from your mobile device. And again, the capabilities of that kind of a platform, I think, really lend themselves well to these kinds of routines. So within Trello, for example, you can create a list that's employee onboarding and include cards for each step. So one card might be add to malpractice insurance. You can open up that card and paste in the link or the email address or whatever for your contact person at your malpractice insurance. Mine always makes me send a letter, so I can just put the text of like, here's what the letter should say, and then I just copy it, add my new employee's name, send it off, and we're good. You might have a card on that employee onboarding, thinking something else you have to do for new employees. About adding them to payroll. Again, how do you do that? And if you're not the one who normally processes payroll, but you're the one who adds employees, what's the login information? What's the information that you need? A checklist. I need, this person's name. Obviously, I need a copy of their driver's license. I need a copy of their social security card. I need a copy of a voided check to get them into payroll. All those kinds of things can be put into a checklist. So within a card on Trello, you can create a checklist that goes on the card. And then you can also copy checklists and put them onto new cards. So you could have like a dummy card that's like sample employee or sample client or sample referral contact, and then have a checklist within it. That's all the things that you would do. And then when you're adding a new person that fits one of those types, you would just copy that card and change the name. So I could take my sample, let's say somebody was marketing to me, they had a sample marketing card. They could copy that and change the name from sample marketing card to Kim Dwyer. And then they open the card up and they'll have their little checklist of the things that they should be doing. So those are some great ways, I think, to record the routines once you've established them. And there's lots of other programs out there. It kind of depends on you, what you like to use, and just getting familiar with it. And then the most important part is these routines and checklists don't work if you don't refer back to them. So you need to have an organized way of making sure everything's in one spot. You're going to that place whenever you need this information. You're pulling it up and using it. You're freshening it up. You're adding new things. You're really making it useful to you and your business. So that's a little bit about routines, how to create them, how to record them, and getting into the habit of using them. I hope that was helpful to you guys. I would love to see some of you, if you want more information about Trello, I'd love to see you in the workshop that I'm running, which is next Monday, June 1st. I will drop the link in here. This is going to go into a blog post, so I'll drop the link in the blog post if you're interested, or just send me an email or message me if you have any questions about it. It's going to be a lot of information of how to get started and then how to customize and use things. And I'm giving templates from my top 5 practice management boards, so that will get you up and running really quickly. All right, have a wonderful day. Bye.